Hey everybody, welcome to MD Power Hour with me, Ron Harris, and Giles Tiger Thomas. And we got two great topics today. We're going to talk about some huge issues, including the point system. Do we need to bring it back? Big topic. And of course, men's classic physique. I guess you don't have to say men's, it's just classic physique. They have bumped up their weights again, the third time. Good idea, bad idea. Why do you think they did it? We'll get into it. Giles, first of all, the point system. I'm trying to remember how long it's been. It was about 5, 6 years, not even 5 years ago that they instilled this point system, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really like the idea at first, but then I saw why they did it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like the idea. It worked well. I mean, I will come to the reasons why I think they should bring it back. But yeah, it's up to you.
I'm with you. I thought it was a stupid idea. I said, what do they think? Are they trying to make it seem more like a more mainstream sport, like car racing or something, where they accumulate points over a season to get to the championship? And I really thought it was unnecessary. I said, we already have ways for these guys to qualify for the Olympia. Why do we need this? Then it sort of grew on me because it made things a little more exciting because now it's not just about who's going to win a show. It's like, well, who's got the most points? Who needs more points? I became interested in it and a fan of it toward the end. And then we had this 2022 Olympia weekend, which wasn't a disaster. Believe me, it was still a great show. Everything was cool. We had a great time, but there were so many athletes, over 300 athletes in the Olympia weekend. And we all blamed the point system. It's that stupid point system. That's why there's so many athletes in the show. And then when we step back and look, we said, wait a minute, there's only two athletes that make it for each division. So that's like 10 divisions, including wheelchair. It was like 20 or less athletes added to the total out of this 300. So getting rid of the point system doesn't do much of anything to reduce the overall volume of competitors at the Olympia. But we see it had seemingly disastrous results so far this season. The lineups have been, we've had open men's bodybuilding pro shows with six guys in it, six. I mean, Milos has been posting
Yeah,
throwback
I was
pictures.
just
Yes.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. Damn it.
Milos Milos has been posting throwbacks with results from shows he was competing in. He even did the one that he won in Toronto, I think it was. Lineups used to be routinely 30 to 40 guys. And there were no 212 classic, but I think Night of Champions in New York one time had almost 50 guys on stage. And to go from that to six guys, eight guys, nine guys, we've had a solid amount of shows, especially US shows, where there's not even 10 guys in the lineup, or maybe 10 if you're lucky. And for some reason, and I'm curious as to why you think this is, the European shows are still having stronger numbers, solid lineups with 15 to 20 guys a lot of times. So why do you think it's more the US based shows that are suffering as a result of this?
I didn't think about the European shows because no European shows have actually suffered.
Right.
I mean, all the European shows are very, very good events, but then there's a lot of good events in America as well. They're all done to a very, very high standard. But what's happening now is what is the complete opposite of what you'd expect. Because now, like Milos, I saw that post this morning, and he said 30 was it 30 something competitors, and there was only 50 total pros. And now
Yes.
we've got
Yeah.
500,
Oh,
probably more than
more.
500, more
Yeah.
than 500, maybe six, seven, 800 pros, and lineups were 6 and 8. So what is going on? What exactly is happening? Why is this happening, guys? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know whether these pro cards have been given too readily to people that aren't ready yet. Because I mean, you think about someone like Zach Khan, it took him 10 years to turn pro. You know, his first his first time he went for the British finals, it was in 2000, and it wasn't until 2009 that he got his pro card.
Wow.
And he had so many seconds and thirds and seconds and thirds and fourths, and it's just like, I mean, nowadays he would have got his pro card the first year.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe the pro cards have been given out too readily. The thing is, obviously, when the split happened, they needed all those guys that have been held back as amateurs. You know, we wouldn't have had guys like Kamal. You know, a lot of these kind of especially a lot of the 212s and the classics. A lot of these guys would have only had the Open to compete in. So at the moment, I say bring the point system back.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
This is my theory as to why the numbers in the US have suffered. You can agree or disagree. I honestly feel, and I've said this a few times on live shows, a lot of these people who previously would have tried to go to the Olympia on points, they have a realistic approach where they know they're not good enough to win a pro show, especially if anyone with a name shows up, they're screwed. They're not going to win. And second place doesn't get you to Olympia, third place doesn't get you there. So in the past, for these past few years, they said, well, if I'm really lucky or I come in really great, I could take like third or fourth place at 4 or 5 shows and I'll get to Olympia that way. And that's how a bunch of people have done it over the
Have
past
they?
few years.
Have
Yeah, a
they?
lot of they've accumulated. We've had a bunch of guys that got a lot of second, third places. That's how they got to Olympia, was on points. But some
I
of those guys were good enough.
Ron, I'd like
Um,
to see the breakdown of the people who have made it and actually done the Olympia, because I'm guessing they've had no lower than third places. I think it's the guys like John De La Rosa who've had 2 second places. I said to him, I interviewed him on Global on Sunday, and I said, you're kind of like a victim of the point system, because if you were trying to get through to Olympia on points, or you'd probably keep on going now because he's shutting it down now. But then he actually said, no, he says, I don't, he says, I'd be one of the ones that wouldn't, even if I had enough points, I wouldn't go to the Olympia because I want to get through on a win. I don't want to get through on
wow.
points.
Hmm.
So, you got that argument as well. So, but there are people out there willing to keep on competing just to get to the Olympia because they realize how prestigious it is. But, and I think, yeah, I say bring it back because, there was 59 guys in the Classic at the Olympia last year, and we would have only had 57 if the point system had been taken away last year. I think the problem is there's too many shows of Classic and 212, and maybe not enough open shows.
Yeah.
But then if the guys aren't doing the big shows that are happening, I mean, I was really shocked at a couple of the lineups, like 6 and 8. It's like, what the hell is going on? And then I asked you, I think it was last week, and I said, so what guys are left to qualify that haven't qualified? And you went through all of them. Pretty much most of them are all qualified now. There's not really any. I mean, really, I think it's going to be a real dogfight for this next few shows because you've got Andrew Jack, you've got Carlos, and you've got Hunter. Now imagine if Hunter wins Texas.
Yeah.
What does then Andrew Jack do? Does he then come to Europe? And what about Carlos? What if Carlos gets third and it's like shit? If he sharpens up or something, or he's right there. What would he do? Would he then chase Andrew over to Europe to try and get a qualification? Or would he just say, okay, this is my first year. I've had a third place against Andrew Jack and Hunter, 2 top 10 Olympia guys. I'm going to shut it down until next year. But you've got these guys that, imagine if, like, say, Hunter does win Texas and Andrew Jack doesn't. And then Andrew Jack says, oh, well, I can't be bothered to go to Europe. Do you know what I mean? And we don't see him at the Olympia, one of the biggest names at the moment. He was 8th place last year. And, so it's
you do Legion. Legion would be the last option.
Oh shit!
For him.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
But
I suppose. But then it's like that's show after show after show. That's a lot of effort from him just to try and get to the Olympia. I mean, remember when the top 10 at the Olympia used to qualify automatically for the year after?
Yeah.
Although I'm glad they did away with that because then we wouldn't have seen those top 10 guys through the year competing. Because they're good to go.
And there was uproar last year, the past few years. Somebody wins a show and all qualifies for Olympia. When the point system was in place, even people would say, okay, well, they should be nice and step aside and not do any more shows until the Olympia. Let somebody else get the qualification. And now it's more. I could see the heat coming down more on someone to like a Hunter or maybe say like Nathan Dasha or Regan Grimes. I know Regan's doing all 3 of those Europe shows. I don't know. Nathan's probably doing at least 2, right?
Yeah.
What if like Nathan, just theoretically, what if he wins all 3 shows in Europe? That wraps up 3 qualifications right there.
Well, Regan's not bothered about doing the Olympic because he qualified last year and didn't do it. So maybe I think maybe. Do you think Regan's one of these guys that just doesn't want to do the Olympia?
Oh, I think he does. I think he wanted to wait till he felt like he was ready to make an impact. He didn't want to be a second, third call out guy.
I don't. Yeah, obviously that I respect how he feels and everything on that one, but personally, I think you should never skip.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, was he realistically? Regan, the potential the guy has, I think he is better off. And Milos, I don't think Milos would steer him wrong. I think he's at the point now, size wise. I saw an update. He's in the 270s. He's very close to where he needs to be right now. And this is a guy that not that long ago, it was like 6 years ago, 6 years ago, jumped into the New York Pro Classic Physique and won at like 220, something like that. So
disaster. Yeah. Remember we saw it at the Olympia and he didn't look good. Didn't look good as a Classic. He looked soft and squishy and didn't look good. Didn't like that.
I didn't like it. So So I think we're in agreement that the point system was a good thing, should come back.
Yeah.
Do you think the IFBB Pro League? This is my prediction, and I hope it comes true. I think after the Olympia, we're going to get an announcement that the point system will return for 2024. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's what I'm hoping for as well.
Mm.
Because I didn't. Do you know what? It wasn't until somebody pointed out on the comments, I think on one of our on Power Hour, and someone said about the this is why the guys aren't doing more shows, and the lineups are small. Sorry, is because of that reason. And I didn't. And do you know what? And I said, oh my god, I didn't even consider that. But it was so obvious when somebody pointed it out, and I was like, holy shit, you're right. These guys really would have been doing more and more shows, But I mean, thing is, I mean, don't forget, there was a lot more show. There's a lot more shows now than there was in Milos's day. You had the Ironman, the Arnold, the Chicago, the champions, then the Olympia, then the Grand Prix Tour. So there wasn't. I mean, it's probably a fraction of the shows that we have now.
Right.
But I'm just I think they should bring it back.
Or if they don't bring it back, maybe here's another crazy, wacky idea. Guy wins a show. He's already qualified for the Olympia. Do we give a qualification to the runner-up?
What do you mean? Like, say, if Hunter comes in and beats
Andrew,
but
he's already qualified. Do we give the second place? Let's say it's Andrew. Andrew Jack fans are already in an uproar because we even suggested that he could lose to Hunter. Guys, anything could happen. Andrew could kick his ass. Hunter could kick his ass. You never know.
Yeah, but then you look at a promoter like Chris Minnis, who does the Legion. He's like, shit, you've just robbed me of having someone like Andrew Jack be in my show.
Yeah.
And also another thing is Hunter's taken a big gamble here, because apart from the Olympia, he's won every single show he's ever done, amateur and professional. Yep. So he has taken he's got balls of steel to be jumping into the show against a Carlos Thomas Jr. and an Andrew Jack. And I mean, I know that, he looked great on the weekend and stuff, but he must be, I take my hat goes off to him for sort of doing this, because there's a guy that could be shutting it down now until the Olympia, and just because, what is it, 12 weeks away? I mean, really, after getting a qualification, do you really want to go and do another show? I mean, is it purely because it's in his backyard?
It's 100%. If it was the Louisiana Pro, he'd be like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's obviously, he's got the humility to sort of put his record on the line, because, like I said, apart from that 8th, 4th, and 7th at the Olympia, there was 3 top 10s. He's won every single show he's ever done. So this is a big gamble, especially going on the fact that he's already got his qualification, locked in, and it was quite a clear qualification. So fair play to him.
So he's really, the only thing he's got to lose is his perfect pro record, which eventually that's gonna in the end, does that really matter? But it's a matter of pride. If he loses to Andrew, we're going to be doing a preview next week, guys. But I could see people saying, okay, well, now Andrew's better than you. Andrew's going to beat you at the Olympia because he just beat you in Texas. So it is a gamble. It's dangerous, but balls of steel, because he's got really nothing to gain with another win, really. I mean, he's already got his qualification. What does he need another win for? Really, it's just a matter of pride.
But also, I mean, he was 7th. Hunter was 7th at Olympia, and Andrew Jack was 8th. So he's already beat Andrew. So he's obviously, on paper, he's like, well, hang on a minute. I'm not going to go up against somebody that's going to completely annihilate me, because I beat him last year when it really counted at the Olympia. So I don't know.
Well, neither one of them.
Maybe he wants the prize money. I don't know.
I doubt that, but neither one of them was 100% at that Olympia at all. Andrew had been sick. Hunter was, off. So I think it's going to be a very different different comparison this time. They're going to both look much, much better in Texas than I think they both did at the last time they stood next to each other. But what if Carlos comes in and beats both of them? Why? And you know what?
It could happen.
It could happen. Of course, it could happen.
Because I mean, we obviously Carlos, really, we haven't seen him in really like granite conditioning yet. I'm not that impressed by his riddle bicep, and I saw it at the guest posing, and I saw the rear lat spread, and the back looked great in that shot. But we don't know how he's going to look. I mean, he's obviously got this stomach issue, so we don't know whether that's going to be still affecting him, or whether he's going to be able to really nail the conditioning. I mean, there's a guy that, I mean, really, like in top conditioning, I think he has the potential to be able to beat both Andrew and Hunter. So it's going to be. I'm really excited for this Texas show actually, and I think it's weird because that show, the first year, it just hit the ground running. Where Freddie Nadeau and his team and everything. I mean, they've really. It's obviously the better the show, the more they attract the high level competitors. You know, the good lighting and the good production and everyone kind of leaving saying good things about it. It's a fantastic show. Fantastic.
One of the ironies of the Texas show and how quickly it did progress in prominence was last year at the end of the night, they announced it because they got the call from, I don't know if it was Jim Mannion, but they found out it had been upgraded to a tier 2 show in the point
Wow,
system,
I didn't know that.
which quickly became a moot point anyway. The point system was dismantled, but yeah, they after just 2 shows they had taken it from
Wow.
tier 3 to tier 2 because they were so impressed. I'm sure it was Jim Mannion, so impressed with the quality of the competition, the production, everything. It was they get strong lineups. And
Good, good.
Carlos, yeah, we'll talk
Really,
about it
really.
next week, but we're all going to wait for that rear. The first call out, I'm damn sure Carlos is going to be in it. Andrew's going to be in it. Hunter's going to be in it. We're all waiting for them to turn around
Yeah,
because they all look incredible from the front.
yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to another huge issue that came up. A big announcement from Tyler Mannion made a post saying that the classic physique weights for the third time since the division began in the beginning of 2016 have been bumped up again. So last year, the last 2 weight increases were across the board. Everybody got 5 pounds. Then they got another 5 pounds, everybody. This time it was different. This time they adjusted it because they felt it was unfair to the shorter guys. How the weight change, the weight from, like a guy who was 5'5" to 5'6", proportionally wasn't as great. The taller guys were at more of an advantage. They were getting more weight per inch or something. So I don't know if there were complaints, but these guys always want to be heavier anyway. A lot of them just hate dieting down to whatever their weight cap is supposed to be. And we've seen people leave the division, the late George Peterson, Breon Ansley, because they just got tired of trying to get to that weight and they moved on to the 212 division. But first of all, do you think Classic needed another weight increase or was this unnecessary?
Absolutely not. No, I don't. I mean, because you think what can Chris Bumstead be on stage, like 240?
He only got 2 more pounds.
Oh, well, I mean, because Chris has still got a few pounds before he even hits his limit, doesn't he?
He's pretty close, but the shorter guys, some of the shorter, I can't say height classes because it goes by every height. So like 5'6"
Yeah.
to 5'7". Some of those got like 7 pounds.
Oh,
And
wow.
then the taller guys only got increases of a couple pounds. And here's my, we go into conspiracy theories here all the time. I
Yeah.
wonder if this happened not so much because the classic guys were asking for more weight, which they've always been asking for more weight, the bigger guys anyway. But now that men's physique is going to have a weight cap, and it was announced that it would be less than classic. I wonder if they bumped up classic so that they can just give the men's physique guys all the previous weight caps that classic had up until 2 weeks ago.
What? I don't even
No,
understand.
not following. Okay, so
No, to be honest, I zoned out there actually. To be honest.
okay, so like was about 3 weeks ago. It was a few weeks ago that was announced
Yeah.
that men's physique, the board shorts division. Sorry guys, it's an easy way to remember what division it is. They were going to start having weight caps. They're going to have to weigh in, and we're like, well, what are they going to weigh? And it wasn't announced how much they were going to weigh per height. But Tyler said it will be less than the guys in Classic Physique. It won't be the same. Classic
Yeah.
Physique guys will be low. And then, coincidentally, a couple weeks later, Classic Physique weights all get raised, which leads me to believe that I think the men's physique guys are just going to take their old weight caps, or yeah, I think that would be the easiest way for them to do it. So there's my conspiracy theory. Do you think it's possible?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how they've worked this out. But I mean, I like the idea of the men's physique getting a weight cap because they were getting too big, and I think they did need to do something about it. But this increasing the weight for the classic, I just don't see the point unless there was a disadvantage to the shorter guys in terms of because isn't it something like 10 pounds per inch or something? On you can scale up a bodybuilder. If
Yeah.
that's what like Lila Brada or Lee Haney or something. If you work out the height. 5 inches taller. You mean basically the similar level of thickness and density on a bodybuilder would be like 50 pounds. That's pretty much the rule I've always followed. And it's pretty, if you actually work it out for the weight of each bodybuilder, that's usually typically kind of, it's pretty much around there. So I don't know whether they needed to adjust it completely, but I just do not see the point. I mean, I've not really thought that much about it, to be honest. But when I heard that, I was just like, no, we don't. Chris Bumstead doesn't need to be so much bigger, and we've not exactly lost a great. And thing is, the classic guys. I mean, I've been at these shows and watched all the live streams, and to me, they're big enough. Do you know what I mean? They don't need to get bigger. Otherwise, the disparity between classic and open is just going to get smaller and smaller, which I don't think there's. I just don't think it's necessary. I really don't.
Conspiracy theory number two: the weight cap was instituted or increased, I should say, to keep some guys in the division who were on the verge of maybe leaving, like Urs Kalaczynski, who is now 5,000 pounds. He's very big. He's no, so he hit like 275, and we're all like, how the hell is he going to get down to? It was like 215 or whatever he had to get down to. So now he can be a little heavier. Ramon Dino from Brazil. I've heard that the last couple of years he's had a really tough time making weight.
Yeah.
So let's give him a couple more pounds and maybe keep him in the division. I don't think there are these backroom meetings where they say, all right, listen, we got to keep the Miracle Bear. We got to keep Ramon Dino. All those Brazilian fans, we got to keep them happy, keep him in Classic. I don't think it necessarily goes that deep, but it does benefit guys like that, especially the younger ones who are still growing. And what do? Diet away that muscle? Like, Breon, good example. I'll be talking to him soon. The last 2-3 years he was competing in Classic, he was ready, physique condition wise, he was ready at something like 193, 195, but he had to get down to 180 every time. And it was just brutal. I remember interviewing him one time when he was doing his prep with Chris Cormier in Kuwait, and he'd only been eating tilapia and lettuce or something for like the last few days, and he was it was barely functioning. It was hard to get any good responses out of him. So I got to see we got to see what he's up to. But I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at it.
I don't know, because the thing is with Urs, I mean, he was way under the weight limit anyway. So even if he dieted right down anyway, he'd probably still be way under the weight limit, I think. Like, you can say, oh, he's 270, but by the time all that water and everything else comes off, what is actually left on these guys? I remember this guy I knew years ago, and this guy was like 300 pounds in the off season. And he was an absolute monster, front squatting 5 plates, benching 4 plates for 8. And then when he dieted down, he weighed pretty much the same as I did when I stepped on stage. Like, literally. And I look like a bloody swimmer next to him. But when we actually diet, like, even though my body weight didn't change, just composition changed, he just every week I saw him, the guy was just shrunk away. And even when I saw him compete, he still had like a few pounds to lose. And I was thinking, bloody hell, we're pretty much about the same weight on stage. So I don't really, I don't buy this, because Urs was way under the weight limit. Yeah, and I don't think, honestly, the only one I can think of, as you say, is Ramon. I mean, he, even a couple of pounds, he's still going to struggle. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It does seem to benefit some of these. I remember when the 202 got changed to 212, and then all of a sudden Flex Lewis wins the 212 Olympia. There was a guy that struggled to make 202. It just seems to benefit the right guys at the right time, but then maybe that's just pure coincidence. And I want to know why they implemented this. What pressured them to change the Classic limits? I mean, was there so many guys struggling or complaining to the Pro League about this? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If no one actually complains, I don't really see. I'd love to know what the impetus was of actually why they implemented this rule, this change to the weight cap. I really don't know.
Timing, it just seems like too much of a coincidence that men's physique suddenly got weight caps, and then 2 weeks later, Classic Physique increases its weight cap.
Possibly, yeah.
I can't believe that that's just pure coincidence. Another thing that they did, which was Tyler announced, I've been saying this for years, I think you've been saying it too. Why do they have to measure their height every time? These are adults. They're not getting any taller. They might get a little shorter over time. They're not getting any taller. If you're like 30 years old, you're done growing, dude. So we always said, why don't they just measure the height once, keep a database or something like that? So now they're going to do that, but they're going to do it 3 times, measure your height 3 times to take the average. Because, Tyler said there have been guys who have been trying to cheat, trying to make themselves taller. They're fully aware of all this, that there's a lot of tomfoolery.
when I did Classic, I was measured at 183 centimeters, and then when I was actually measured at the competition, they measured me 185.
So you could have been heavier.
Well, yeah, I was way under anyway. There's nothing left of
Oh,
me. But
2 centimeter
yeah.
difference.
So yeah. I see that. Do you know what? That's another thing I've never actually considered. That's a
Mm.
really good point. It's like once you're measured, why keep measuring them? Because otherwise, Ramondino. Otherwise, why don't they record the highest? I mean, if they've competed 3, 4, 5 times, then just give them the highest and just let them. Because otherwise, you've got Ramondino getting stretched out and having to do all these stupid things. Like if it's 175, 176, 174, then let him just have the 176 and then let him just, because it's like you said, spines, they don't really, they're not really going to change height. So why keep changing that? Maybe weigh them in by all means, but
Wait a minute.
weigh them in, weigh them in, and then go with the highest height that they've actually had recorded at say an Olympia or an Arnold or a top show where obviously the top officials are at all these shows anyway. So, but yeah, use the database, and maybe it's just it's a good way to stop to spend save time.
Tyler said he said one funny thing in that video. He said some guys make themselves shorter because they're not staying. I was like, because they're slouching. I said, I don't think anybody does. Every time I've been at the weigh-ins and the heighting for these things, these people are really trying as hard as they can to be taller. They're trying because they want to be,
Tip your head forward. That's what you do. You tip head forward, and you do,
forward.
and if you get measured, do it early in the morning because your spine decompresses in the night.
Why would you tip your head forward? Wouldn't that make you shorter?
No, you like put your chin in. It actually creates the top of your head is actually like that. Yeah, that's what they told me to do. They said tip your head forward, you'll be taller.
So I could be
Not
6'3".
tip your head forward. You tilt your head like that.
So that's why I'm not as tall as I want to be. I knew it. My head position. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about, you brought to my attention, there's a pro show this weekend in London. It's a Two Bros Pro. It's called True Athlete Pro, TRU. I don't know if that stands for a sponsor or something, but it's actually a pretty solid 212 lineup. So we got Lucas Coelho from Brazil, Nasser Mohammed from Kuwait, Daniel Stico from Italy. Very good. He's been getting, is that a tour guy?
No, he's Maro Sassi.
Sassi? Okay, well, they're both awesome coaches. He's been clicking. Rob Taylor from UK just did very well in the Chicago Pro. Which one was it? Did he just compete? Tampa Pro. Yeah. Come on, Ron. Wake up. Wake up. Dean White, excellent pro from the UK. And someone I was not familiar with, Edward Cargbo from UAE. But yeah, UAE, they're killing it over there. Have you noticed? It seems to me Dubai is the new Kuwait. I don't hear about people going over to Kuwait anymore. It's there's nothing lasts forever. There's trends, but it seems like everybody's going to Kuwait now. I'm sorry, Dubai.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Is that one gym, Binu's gym?
Binu's gym, yeah, and everything exploded there a few years ago, didn't it? But the thing is, something like Oxygen with what they're doing, it invites competition. And so, and obviously Dubai, I mean, like we got Vegas now to replace California and Florida to replace California because California seems to have dropped off as a bodybuilding hotspot. It died off, didn't it, about 20 years ago? And then Vegas and Florida really kind of took over. That seems to be the two the hotbeds of bodybuilding anyway in America. Dubai seems to be the one that probably, like I said, probably just somebody looking to make a name with gyms and businesses, and just thought, okay, then we're going to go to Dubai, and basically we like what they've done there. We like the fact they got Ramy and Brandon Curry and Mr. Olympias, and and it's obviously brought a lot of good attention to the gym, maybe a lot of investment, and it's got a lot of good press. We're going to we've got money to spend as well, and we've got money to invest. So we're going to do exactly the same. And then obviously people start moving over in there in their droves. I mean, everyone I've spoke to that's moved to Dubai, they just said it was the best thing they ever did. It's just there's so many opportunities over there. And that Benoist gym, it just seems to be the place to be. I mean, I mean, I saw like a video of somebody just going round the gym, and the place looks absolutely fantastic. And I think wherever they welcome bodybuilders, I think that's where bodybuilders are going to flock to, because bodybuilders need a lot of kind of support, and
Another thing came to mind is because they also have a lot of people with massive social media followings training there.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Jack is just one, Larry Wheels. There's a bunch of them. So if people are seeing that gym all the time and seeing these top tier athletes and guys with millions and millions of followers are like, wow, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
The late.
Well, I had Lewis Breed on again this Global because he got third at in Tampa. I mean, he went over there. He went over there for a few months, and it worked for him because it came back like 15, 16 pounds heavier and leveled his physique up completely over last year. So it obviously works, you know. So and there's obviously the facilities are there for bodybuilders to grow and prosper.
And that's been, how long has that been a place where, you know, I see so many Brits living there. How long has that been a place where people from UK went to live?
Only in the last few years, two,
Oh, really?
3 years, maybe 2, 3 years. Like, yeah, I started popping up more and more in the last year or two. But now everyone, you know, everyone's bloody going there, and you know, but and everyone just loves it. Everyone loves it. So I mean, I've never been to Dubai. It's one place I've never been to. But what I see, it just looks otherworldly. It looks incredible. The restaurants and the gyms and just the overall buzz and I think it seems to be a good, very positive atmosphere where people going there to achieve their dreams and move forward. I've been told that everyone's very encouraging and very supportive. They're not like, you know, oh, as a bodybuilder, look, trying to, you know, and they're sneered upon and just put up with. They're actually welcomed over there. So, and I think there seems to be, was it Mohammed Foda had him on, and he said there's so many business opportunities that businesses will come up to you and just give you free this and free that to be promoted by you on your social media. So if you've got a big following or whatever, and you know, YouTube, they'll happily collaborate and give you free services and, you know, free anything. And so bodybuilders can live very, you know, very cheaply because there's just business opportunities on every street corner.
I think another one, I'm not putting Kuwait down by any means. Kuwait, I've never been to either place, but I believe not all of UAE, but Dubai is much more westernized. It's more, you know, they have less of the, you know, because of Islam, there's certain, the women have to stay covered up and this and that. There's certain things that are a little more foreign to people who aren't from that culture in Kuwait versus Dubai. I think it's more just a big modern city with skyscrapers and Lamborghinis. And I'm pretty sure women don't have to cover their faces. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments, guys. I'm not that well versed in world religion and stuff like that, but I just think it's less of a culture shock for a lot of the bodybuilders from Western Europe and from the USA when they go over there versus maybe Kuwait. I've heard Kuwait, some of the guys say it took a little getting used to. It's a very, very different culture, just a different way of life.
I think in Dubai, like if you want to party and do all these things, you can do just that, and apparently it's quite easy. But I think with Kuwait, it was a little bit more. Look, apart from the gym, it's not really much else to do. So you know, you just
I don't think you can even drink alcohol in Kuwait. Am I right?
You can, but not. I don't think publicly or whatever. There are places you can go, whatever, but it's tricky. But obviously, bodybuilders, you know, we're looking to sort of progress, aren't looking to go and party and drink, you know. So
would hope not.
oh, no.
Oh man.
Did you sorry to interrupt, did you see the update of Nathan D'Asha today?
No, haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he's coming in fast. He's coming in fast. 4 weeks out from the Italy show, in the Flex show in Italy. I think he's going to be going up against Regan. So he's looking really, really good, and the biceps look good, both of them.
That's crazy.
So it's funny. A couple of weeks ago, he just looked like a big block of muscle. Now he's like everything. He's looking like Nathan D'Asha on, you know. And that guy comes in like within 2-3 weeks, that guy transforms himself dramatically. So he's looking really, really changed. So expect to see him looking, the best he's looked for a while, I think.
That's what I want to ask you. You've seen so many guys and known so many pros. Is Nathan the one that stands out in your mind out of everybody that changes the fastest? He doesn't need 16, 20 weeks to prep. Hasn't he done like 5-week preps for shows before?
I think he does. He says 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks. I mean,
that's the thing is, you're talking at 6 to 8 weeks. He's 300 pounds, and he's coming down to what I don't know. What is he about 250 on stage? I think. Maybe. So he comes in fast. I mean, go look at the update he posted 2 or 3 weeks ago to the one he posted now, and it looks like 2 different people. It's incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So that's going to be. That might be. I hope it is. I hope they both do all 3 shows. I'd love to see them go head to head 3 times. And, you know, throw some other great guys in there too. There's still Chirac hasn't qualified yet. I've seen some updates of him. Alfred Chirac, isn't that his name?
Oh yeah, Chirac, yeah. And we got Vlad as well. Because Vlad won Italy last year. The Yamamoto one, he won that last year, and I think he's looking to compete again because he wants to get to the Olympia. So, I mean, he's looking sensational. He's about 125 kilo, 275, and just looking absolutely ridiculously shredded. So, he's working really, really hard. So let's see what happens with him as well.
Cool. So next week we'll talk about the Texas Pro. That's going to be a big, big talking point. And I'm interested to see the list because we're talking about 3 people now, but there might be a couple more guys added to that list that we haven't even considered would be in that show. I hope that's the case. I hope it's like 5 big, big names just battling up there. That'd be great.
Texas.
Yeah, it'd be like that the first year when it was like a dead heat between Kuklo, Clayhart, and Valier.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
all they all look
I,
phenomenal.
I think the one I'm most looking for. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Hunter and Andrew Jack, but I think Carlos is the wild card. That's the one I'm really, really excited to see what he looks like because those frontal biceps he was posting, just in his house and stuff. I mean, he obviously wasn't like shredded, but oh my God, that physique, the thickness and the amount of muscle that guy has. If he gets that completely dry and in condition, he's going to be upsetting both Hunter and Andrew, I think.
Well, we need to see the back shots. People are every time we mention Carlos, they say, "Wow, his back is back." Well, we'll see. Let's see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Don't judge anything yet. Let's wait. Because when I did this last thing, when I was doing the wrap ups for the Tampa show, people were all, "What about does this Hunter beat that Andrew from that show?" I said, "It doesn't matter because the Andrew from the Arnold Classic is gone. That was back in March. We're going to
Yeah.
see a different Andrew here. We're going to see a different Hunter than we saw at the Olympia. You can't compare. Hello, what do you think? Does this Hunter beat that Andrew?" And it's just the fans like to. I get it. It's interesting to think of these matchups, but they don't mean a damn thing. Let's see what they look like in Texas, day of the show, on stage under lights. That's all that matters. So, I thought you'd appreciate Hunter's quote from his interview I did the night before the show, or it was actually Thursday night. I was praising him on his updates and his Instagram and YouTube. He said none of that means shit because the only thing that matters is how I look on stage. Until then, none of that stuff matters. I said, thank
Nice.
you, thank you.
Nice.
Giles says that all the time. I forgot I forgot to tell him that you'd become he'd won you over. You were actually finally impressed with him, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
no, I mean, I'm sure he's probably thinking, "Oh, so what?" But actually, well, when I started, when I got John De La Rosa up on the screen, he said because I got John right at the last minute, and John sent a message. And he says, "I'm just going to go train with Hunter." He says, "And then I'll message you when I'm done."
Wow,
So I rang him, and he literally just finished. So he rang me on my phone on video call on
that's
WhatsApp.
what that picture was. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And he went, "Hey, Giles."
Ah,
He said, "Look." And then Hunter went, "Hey, Giles." Hey, he calls me
ah,
Giles. Hey,
Giles.
Giles. Yeah. So he was like waving, and so I was like, "Oh, Hunter." I said, "Congratulations, guys." I said, 1 and 2. I said, "You should be very, very proud." And yeah, because John was literally walking out of the gym to go in his car and do the interview, and then we started filming, properly. But yeah, it was a great interview, really, really good. So check it out.
Yeah, guys, that is MD Global Muscle. This is going to air on Thursday or Friday, so you have to go back on the channel just one day to MD Global Muscle with Jonathan De La Rosa, who took second place in Tampa and Chicago thus far this season in shutting down. But John, first interview, I haven't interviewed John in a couple of years now. It's got to be a few years for you too, right?
Yeah, 3 years, about
I mean,
3 years.
he's been away. He's been off the radar, and
Yeah,
you'll so find out what he's been up to, guys, and his comeback story, all good stuff, I'm sure.
all in there,
And
or everything. I asked him everything, and he was very, very open. But he's very transparent anyway, guy. Anyway.
Lewis Breed from the UK, who you predicted would get a really good look, and he did. He was right behind Hunter and Jonathan, right there, third place.
Exactly what we said, wasn't it? I said it between John and Hunter, and I said I think I'd like to see Lewis next to Hunter and John because I think he could sneak in third, and that's exactly what happened.
I think we both called that for the top 3, didn't we? Our predictions. It was going to be Hunter, John, Lewis.
And
Probably
then
that's what we.
then I said Joel, and then I forget who else. I tell you what looked really good was Roy Evans. He was really, really good.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
really big improvement. So I might have to get him on Global, I think, again.
yeah. He's very good. I said in my wrap up, I still think he needs a little more size if he wants to compare with the very top guys in open. To me, he's not quite there yet, but he's obviously packed on some good mass since Classic and
Yeah.
maintained the small waist and the line. So that's not
Legs,
easy to do.
right? The condition from the back, my God, he was shredded.
Dude, there were some guys in that show, the Classic division, that were just crazy peeled, crazy. The few of
Well,
them.
Well, bodybuilders like Borders was posting guys that were like, oh, this guy took 12th in the classic, and I'm like, holy shit, these guys are incredible.
Yeah.
So I think that lineup was probably when you saw the live stream, that lineup was probably the deepest, and the best of the, I mean, for the standard. I mean, there's so many good classic guys now. It's like it's hard to, it's a full-time job in itself just to try and keep up with just who they are.
There were third call out guys who were just lights out condition. They were getting third call out. It was like,
Wow,
that's 30. They had 30 guys. Yeah, so Open had 9 and Classic had 30. And I think like Men's Physique had 30, 35, something like that. So it's really only Open that we're seeing these smaller divisions, but we covered that earlier in the show, guys. So guys, we want to hear your opinions on what we've been talking about. We love your feedback. We get on there and we answer you. We like to have spirited debates, and of course, you don't always have to agree with us. What fun would that be? I mean, even Giles and I only agree about 99.8% of the time. Giles, that's your latest thing, is he tags me on stripy delts pictures and goes, how do you rate these stripy delts 1 to 10? So far, no one's even gotten a 9, right?
Nope. And you're like,
No.
0.5, and then the person comments, goes, oh, sure, Ron, I don't get any more, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, I could show you pictures of guys who would get a 10 and they'd go, oh, okay, now I get it. Well, I'm going to bring up something ridiculous, but Munzer, somebody like that, that's just one example. He's not the only one, but when you can clearly see like 100 deep striations carved into splinters over splinters, that's a 10 stripy delt right there.
Stripy delt.
So show me that and I'll give you a 10.
That's the goal. That's the ultimate.
Until then, you're only getting 8.72 from me, guys.
Yeah. And did you see Arnold train with Ronnie?
Yeah, how cool was that?
Yeah.
I don't even know how I have to watch that video. I don't know how that came about, but yeah, because Arnold's all over freaking Netflix right now.
Yeah.
Between people wondering why he wasn't like approaching the athletes at that the Arnold Classic last year, 2021. And I think he had to contractually keep a distance from people because he had this Netflix deal with two huge. He had that the documentary, and he was doing that action series Fubar. So I think contractually he couldn't get COVID because that would have just messed up everything.
No.
So I suspect that's why he was keeping his distance and he wasn't coming out and going up in the athletes' faces like he normally would have. Because remember, the athletes were like, "Oh, I wanted to talk." They all look forward to that victory speech and interview from Arnold. How much training did you do?
How much did you practice your posing? Oh,
yeah, it's always the same three questions or so. But now we know. I mean, that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Possibly.
Anyway, yeah. So guys, check out MD Global Muscle on this channel. Sorry, other great stuff. We got Buff Bombshells dropping every now and then. Great episodes. A couple Ron lines sprinkled in here and there to keep things interesting. So that's it, guys. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, turn on notifications, both on YouTube and on your phone, so you know we get that. And yeah, drop us some comments, man. Giles Tiger Thomas, thank you so much. You have got to go to the live chat very soon for MD Global Muscle. We're recording this on Wednesday. And remember, guys, when we go live on shows like that, we have live chat. You're able to interact with each other and comment on things in real time. Giles always jumps on there for MD Global Muscle. Jen's usually on there too. So I pop in every now and then when I'm not being too lazy. So that's it. Thank you, Giles. Thanks, everybody, for watching MD Power Hour. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.